Call the meeting to order, the Joint Community Development Quality of Life Committee meeting. Roll call. Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Green. Councilmember King. Councilmember Jeruso. Councilmember Thomas. Councilmember Moreno and Councilmember Morrell. We do not have a quorum.
That's all right. Let's get started. And I know we're waiting on Mr. Coleman from the NAACP to arrive. So we'll go out of order, starting with job one. Y'all ready to go? And just a reminder, we will take public comment. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes per topic. You can come on up front and sit down. And there's nothing to vote on today, so we will just roll through the program. Thank you all for coming back to this rescheduled meeting. I know that we had to postpone because of technical difficulties.
Great, I'll go simple.
Right.
All right,
Great afternoon.
will you introduce yourself and then you can get rolling?
You got it. My name is Leonard Sanders, Project Director with Job One. It's my pleasure to be here. Happy holidays to everyone. I'm going to simply, again, in representing Job One and the Business and Career Center, it is our pleasure to provide training and career services to any and all citizens that are eligible for our services. And I'm just going to walk through some highlights of the training and career opportunities that are most popular and available to our community members. We generally put our services in 3 buckets: job seeker services, youth services, and employer services. Very popular among our job seeker services is career counseling and assessments. That's the first step for us to get participants into the system and connect them with job opportunities. Our resume and cover letter service is very popular. We present our resume services. That's your ticket to the job, and we're excited to offer free resume service to any participants, any community members. Once a person is enrolled in our programming, we do offer up to $8,000 in tuition assistance. These funds can be applied to literally hundreds of training programs in the city and throughout the state. In addition to the scholarship assistance, we also provide supportive services. If we get you, we connect you with training in construction and you need boots, it's our pleasure to get the boots for you. You need a hard hat, we're here for it. So those supportive services, no doubt, cover gaps between a person's training and employment opportunities. Our work readiness program is very popular. We've had partnerships with various reentry organizations where participants were referred to our work readiness program. I will highlight Ms. LaTracy Mason. I believe she's now with Urban Strategies, but she put in great work with our work readiness participants. Literally hundreds of participants have come through, gotten soft skills, and gotten connected to training through our work readiness program. It is also our pleasure to provide technology access. Job One is here to cover gaps with computer access, telephone, not telephone, let me back away, don't get me in trouble. That's right, computer and fax services, printer services. Even though we are shifting our location currently, we are still meeting the need at remote access points throughout the city. Another program that we love to highlight is our youth services. The summer employment program is absolutely popular and has had a great impact on the youth of the city. Our paid work experiences, we're providing youth a living wage of $13.25 an hour to get experience in their desired career path. And our tutoring and HiSET program is free to the public. We are connecting people with their HiSET, paying for their testing, and getting them to the next step in their educational pursuits. And no doubt we have a focus on providing services for our employers, which are key to the workforce ecosystem. We provide up to 50% of eligible participants and organizations' wages through our on-the-job training program for a period of time where the employee is learning the skills they need to be successful on the job. That's a great help to employers. We also look forward to providing our virtual and in-person job fairs. No doubt we've been on the battlefield hosting and connecting people with literally hundreds of job fairs throughout 2022. And our candidate screening and matching has served as a beneficial resource for employers looking for suitable and eligible job seekers. That's the services in a nutshell. No doubt there are more that we offer. At the same time, we are here to serve in whatever capacity we can. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Councilmember Green.
I do want to thank Job One and those associated with it. I've had good I've gotten good vibes from people who talk about it. In fact, Ron Coleman was going to be here today because he was going to talk about a specific instance of someone who was formerly incarcerated and also an elderly person who is now employed by the city of New Orleans. And I've got to correct myself again because I got to stop saying elderly. I tell you, I'm elderly. You know, he's
Come on, seasoned. That's what it is. Seasoned. That's right.
I am elderly. So he is 60 plus years old, but he came back into the workforce and Job One helped him to get into the workforce. So I want to encourage you all to continue to do the things that you can do. I promote Job One because I'm very serious about this. It is a shame that we have all these jobs at the city. It's bordering on ridiculous that we have opportunities that people can fill because we banned the box. The wages are not what they used to be, very cheap. I guess I'll ask you about the $15 an hour too, what we can do to get to the point. So we pay $15 an hour for those programs. But also I've seen that you all have put people into jobs. Someone came to the Pontchartrain Park Neighborhood Association meeting, and is that person here today? No, but okay, I just wanted to say that a representative of Job One came to the Pontchartrain Park Neighborhood Association. And I know that you go out to the community and talk about Job One and talk about those opportunities. And it was greatly appreciated that they came and talked to people and let them know how they could refer others. There are still some people in our community who think that there are not enough jobs out there for them to fill. But the city council, working with Job One and others, have relieved some of the barriers that once existed to getting employment with the city and even in other areas, because Job One helps secure jobs for people in other areas too. You're trying to fill jobs. So I appreciate the fact that you all do that work, continue to get the word out, and I will continue to get the word out because one day we've got to fill these hundreds of jobs that are available at the city.
We're committed to providing as much access as possible, even now in this building transition. Again, we have 4 different libraries providing in-person service, virtual connection via Zoom, via our website. And then no doubt you can get in touch with us by phone. What we, I think all would agree is part of the solution is collaboration. And come January 14th, I'll do a shameless plug, Saturday, January 14th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're partnering with Clover, formerly Kingsley House, to provide a training and job fair. So those $8,000 training scholarships that we mentioned, those connection to those and pre-screening for those will be available. Dozens of employers will be there. And the collaboration with partners and city entities, putting the word out, no doubt is key. So anyone listening, please feel free to direct persons Saturday, January 14th to Clover, formerly Kingsley House, for a training and job fair. You mentioned a collaboration and getting the word out. We have a representative that'll be at a Hanno engagement later today, promoting and getting the word out. We've made more of a social media imprint in recent months. But the challenge is consistently awareness and messaging. And while we've made great strides towards it, it's a assess and improve cycle. So thank you for your support. I know you've been a champion for just workforce in general. And thank you for inviting us as well. Clearly, you're on the battlefield as well. at some point it comes down to just getting the word out to enough people. As you mentioned, the jobs are there. And I'll say briefly, the $13.25 I mentioned as an hourly wage is for our youth participants. Our adults are certainly at $15 an hour. And in fact, any jobs that we promote, we request and encourage our employer partners to present jobs at $15 or more. Because as we know, that's not enough in truth, but as you mentioned, it's progress. And we want to, no doubt our director, Sune Villavaso, has been a champion of a living wage ordinance that the mayor implemented. So I just want to clarify, we are at $15 an hour for our adults, and we encourage as much as possible, right? We want to get everybody their coins.
Can you talk a little bit about numbers for the public? And actually, for the record, I usually like to send you what my question will be in advance. So if you don't have this number, that's
I
fine.
appreciate that.
Can you tell me what you think you might have helped fill in terms of number of jobs during 2022? I want to encourage people to recognize that these jobs are being filled.
Absolutely. I'll put one caveat on it. Our funding and program year is July to June.
Okay.
So we track it in general. I can give numbers towards that as we finish our program year 2021. We had a campaign of Job 1000 where we were committed to placing and assisting 1,000 people with getting permanent unsubsidized employment. We didn't meet that goal through July 2022, through June, 2022. Certainly through our partner agencies, employer partners, job fairs, and just facilitating that connection, we achieved that goal of over 1,000 placements being tracked. As of this year, I know we are in the hundreds. I would speak closer to between 250 and 300, maybe through November. That certainly represents work because we are providing job referrals and case management to as many participants as possible. As you all know, the money is the money, and capacity is always a thing. At the same time, we certainly serve a caseload of over 1,000 persons currently that have been connected with Job One services. So we are continuing the push towards the 1,000 placements, which is our goal. But beyond that, two highlights of job connection that we are connected to is work permits, and we're excited. We're putting between 350 and 400 work permits out per month. So our young people are getting connected with employment, and shout out to all of those that are employing our young people, because they are providing higher wages than certainly when I was coming up, but even pre-COVID. So our youth connection to work permits is not included in that number. Additionally, our job fairs, because our placements are in conjunction with employers and participants, we can't follow up with everyone, and we do know that we serve hundreds of persons through our job fairs each year. So statistically, we target 1,000 placements. With that said, we certainly have reason to know that the impact is beyond that. And as you mentioned, we have jobs available. That's the biggest thing. Beyond how many people we place, we're looking at how many we can place. And our focus is no doubt on providing opportunities to those job opportunities, providing connection to those job opportunities, even in the midst of this transition. We're focused to, again, come January 14th to the 1 at Clover, providing, again, opportunities to literally hundreds of positions from our employer partners that'll be represented there. So promoting the opportunities is more so the focus, and the placements will come.
Okay, you know that we'll share that information. So, but it's at Clover.
It's at Clover, yes, sir.
So I'll make sure that we share that.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any frustrations or any concerns relative to placing people at city jobs? Is there anything that we need to know, or if you need to talk about it offline, we can talk about it offline?
No, yeah.
No impediments to filling city jobs.
I think they're the generic, for lack of a better phrase, impediments. One unique consideration is civil service and meeting those requirements, but those are in place for a reason. So we certainly try to refer qualified persons that we believe will be able to meet those standards. Beyond that, there is always the consideration of meeting the participant, in our business of job connection, meeting the participant where they are. And the truth is, for the, not the interest or not the quick placement, but for those life-changing opportunities, the first thing is qualifications. No doubt there are oftentimes qualification gaps that need to be filled, whether it's through soft skills or training and certification methods, but making sure that we have persons that meet the qualifications. The second piece is there's always a marriage between employer and job seeker, between scheduling, and I will say that is as I talk through it, that is a consideration. There is a shift in the workforce landscape towards job seeker empowerment. And that's something that we are an advocate for. We're participant advocates as well as employer advocates. With that said, beyond Job One, beyond the city, there is a shift of job seeker empowerment, and many more job seekers come to the table with expectations, non-traditional, for lack of a better phrase, expectations. And again, there is, and so now the discussion at an interview is shaded with a different perspective, because there are legitimate needs that job seekers are voicing that we understand. I mean, and to employers' benefit, many have made accommodations within the scope, but that's a unique nuance that we've identified post-COVID that needs to be addressed. I again, phrasing it job seeker empowerment. In some instances, it might be unreasonable from an employer's perspective. At the same time, it's present and it's something that we are aware of. So no doubt that's part of the discussion as well. So beyond the qualifications, which is always a primary consideration, and where there are skills gaps, it needs to be met. There's also just navigating the employer needs and the job seeker needs is different in 2022, 2023. Beyond that, I think again, it comes down to awareness. I think it comes down to the jobs are plentiful and they move fast. And in our business, we, again, that assess and improve model is at least one focus of it is how do we improve our messaging? How do we keep up to speed with the jobs that are available and the employer needs? We just hosted an employer roundtable earlier this month and had some of our more tenured employer partners, Ochsner, TCA, I'm trying to give them shout outs. Y'all, whoever they were, we had a handful of employers and training providers. And I mentioned that to say the purpose is for us to have up-to-date information on what employer needs are, because we can't operate on employer needs from July 2022. It's different now. So that is one of our strategies, to stay up to date with employer needs so that we can target the right job seekers, present the right messaging. Again, to answer your question,
Yes.
historic challenges, some are new post-COVID, no doubt.
Okay, I appreciate your motivation and your enthusiasm. I think it does. No, I know it does show up in some of those who work under your directorship, because I've seen them at work and I've had good responses and reports, and Mr. Coleman's going to be here to probably reflect some of exactly what I'm saying. So thank you for the work that you do at Job One, and let's continue to fill jobs in this city.
We appreciate it, and we're on the battlefield. Yes, sir. Thank you much.
Thank you, Councilmember Green. I have a question about supportive services. What exactly does that entail?
So we just revised our supportive service policy to make sure it's up to date. That's correct. With that said, there are a number of approved funds utilizations within the regulations of the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. It can cover things, but the more popular items, for lack of a better phrase, are work equipment. Certainly it is covered technology use if there's a program that, and I will, before I go on, those supportive service funds are dollars of last resort as per the grant stipulations, and they are based on what is required for the participant to succeed in the training or work experience. So if a training program says the participant needs a computer, then we can use those supportive service funds to get a computer, provided they don't have other options. If the employer partner says they need this piece of equipment, then it can be used to provide that piece of equipment. We are working on updating and I'll leave it at that, updating what's called our needs related payment process, which can provide a small financial assistance, again, to the tune of $10 to $20. It is not substantial, but it's something that you know, we know food insecurity is a real thing. Sometimes that $10 or $20 makes a difference. So there's a policy that guides what we can provide it to. It is connected with things that are necessary to be successful in the training or work opportunity.
Transportation, for example, I know is a big deal.
It can provide transportation. In fact, again, thank you for bringing it up. One of our more popular ones are, we provide 31-day passes and $100 gas cards to those that are eligible and based on the need. But no doubt, those are one of the most popular supportive services. Absolutely.
That's really wonderful, because transportation and getting to a job on time is critical to keeping a job, right? So
No doubt.
Supportive services. Talk to me about how employers can get connected with Job One, especially smaller employers who might not know about the program, but who might need additional help, have employment opportunities for folks.
Real simple. 504-658-4500. Or you can go online to our website, Job One NOLA, JOB, the number 1 NOLA.org, job1nola.org. There's an employer tab, and there's an opportunity for employers not only to get more information, but also to get connected.
So it sounds like you also do employer training. Is that correct?
We have, I don't want to oversell. No doubt we try to meet as many employer needs as possible. And in those, there has been some small business or entrepreneurship engagement, but it was not consistent programming. We do provide on the job training for participants that are with employers. Yes, but you have the wheels turning and you saying it. No doubt there are opportunities to provide some training to employers, and again, I appreciate you bringing it up, because the wheels are turning as we speak. Yeah.
I mean, I just know my sort of Gen X brain is different than Gen Z or wherever we are right now. And when you're speaking about employees and workers really wanting something different than what I wanted when I was coming up, than what Councilmember Green wanted when he was coming up. I think we were more attuned of, we're going to get a job and stay with it for 20 years. Now there's a lot of, it's a lot different. So I think just bridging that gap between what employers want, older employers like myself want, and younger employees, I think that could be important.
No doubt that concept came up in our recent employer roundtable, but again, your speech brings about a larger connotation. I will say, towards bridging that gap, one thing that I'm very excited to have us bring online in 2023 is virtual reality training, and the way it bridges the gap is the trainings are based on employer needs, but it meets this generation, for lack of, look, I'm excited. I don't know what generation I'm in, but I'm excited about virtual reality too. So one way or another, it meets the needs of a fun, engaging method of delivery. So again, certainly your comments speak to something larger. At the same time, we are excited about some strategies we have online, and as well as the information that we're gleaning from employers to have it inform our next steps. Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for everything that you do. Anytime you want to bounce ideas off about training.
It just happened. That's right.
Yeah, that's great. And so I'm excited about this job fair, which is in District E, at Clover, January
14th, Saturday, January 14th, 10 to 1.
All right.
Yes.
Have a reporter here who I'm sure will report that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for your service.
Any online comments? Any comments? All right.
Great.
Why don't we go back to the rotation that we had? Mr. Coleman, do you want to come on up?
Councilperson, I apologize. We coordinated a participant to come and speak.
Yes.
Yeah, Courtney Jones, I apologize.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the consideration. Come on, I got you. I don't know if the mic is still working. You come right here.
The
Come
mic
right here.
still works.
Come on up.
It's a hot
Great.
mic.
So I'll give some context and then I'll get out his way for 60 seconds. I'll get. Yes. This is one of our participants, Courtney Jones. I knew him prior to his connection with Job One, and he came interested in getting training. And it's our pleasure to have him just share a bit of his experience with you all, my man.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Oh, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? I got in Job One like probably September 2021. And it been an experience. Like I come from a background to where, you know, like I did 11 and a half years in jail. And through convicted felonies, like I was able to have opportunities at Job One to help me be able to break barriers and break cycles and be able just to do great things. I met with Leonard Zive probably like a little before I got into Job One program, like in 21, like it's 2022, I got my CDL license in June. No, I think May. I got it May, and it's been a great experience. They help people. They don't care about your background. They don't care about who you is like anything I wanted. Like I was able to go there without have to go back to what I know. So I thank God for the opportunity that I have on this program, because this program really, it helps people, it help our society if our society want it, because they have opportunities that really help you get the money that you deserve. Like right now, making money that I deserve, because the cost of living is higher. And, you know, they have jobs that help you get higher. So it's a great opportunity. Like, and I just want to thank Mr. Leonard Guy for the opportunity, because, you know, like through our backgrounds, like they might say they'll help us, but we don't really get no help. If we're a convicted felony, like that's how they look at us. And it'd be hard to get in those. So through Job One, I was able to get in those, and I'm able to do great things.
Courtney, thank. Thank you very much for coming. That's the first thing. I appreciate that. Courtney, right?
Yes, sir.
What's your last name?
Jones.
Courtney Jones. Okay, thank you. I didn't hear that part. I want to thank you, but can you talk to the public? Because right now, a lot of people are watching and they are noticing you, and they're noticing that you are here and that you're working again. Could you talk to some of the people out there and encourage them to kind of do the same thing that you did? You paid your debt to society, and you said that you wanted to be gainfully employed, and you went to an agency, or an agency came to you, maybe you saw them. But could you talk to others out there and encourage them to do the same that you've done?
Yeah. I do. I talk to a lot of people, and the opportunities out there, every opportunity I ever had, I was able to drag people in with me. So they doing a great work in New Orleans. It's just like you got to want it. And like when I was going through, like first I started off going to carpentry school, but I saw, you know, like saying the money wasn't me and, you know, like my life. So I stepped into trucking school. So now that's me and my life, and be able to help me do what I want to do. But you gotta want it, because New Orleans Job One have the opportunities for you. They can help you. Like I'm a person who been through the street life. I've been there, like I did it, and I chose to do better now. I chose to do better now, and Job One helped me be able to better my life and help me in any situation I ever needed. And they still send jobs out to me today. That's how wonderful Job One is. Like right now, they have something going on where they paying great money for you to come work. So it's just a great opportunity. I thank God for meeting this man, because this man he about people, and any type of way he can help people, and through learning from me, like, because I tell him a lot of things I experience out here in society. Because like they could say that they give y'all this and they do that, but when you try to go through those, like, it don't be there. But see, me, I have faith. So by me having faith, like, if you close the door, I feel they still have a door for me, and I'm gonna get around those, because I'm not trying to go back to where I used to be.
Boy, Mr. Jones, you just did a commercial. That's great. This is a public meeting, and you couldn't have said it any better. And 2023 is going to be better. Our citizen, I want you to know, but one of the reasons is because we are going to be putting more people to work, and that we're going to be working not only just on the capacities that people know, but the council funded some opportunities and some programs that are in 2023 going to provide opportunities for people to do better. But you are an example, and I like the fact that you said that you have faith and that you are appreciative for somebody else helping you at that time. So thank you very much for being here. I certainly am glad that we had a chance for you to come.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones, I would have.
Let me stay. Can he stay at the table?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Council. And first, we want to say thank you. That's just one of the cases. Mr. Green had an opportunity to meet some of the guys that just come home after doing more than 20 years in the institution. And I'm here personally to say, Job One has stepped up to the plate. And I don't want to call names because I'm going to miss somebody, but I went undercover myself to find out if this was really like they say it is. In February of this year, I went to Job One. I was looking for job training. I told them I had just come home from prison. Before I knew it, I was already to get a resume wrote up training. So I brought a friend of mine, which he doesn't like to come out, live in your district. He wants you to come talk to him. He's going to tell you the same story. Mr. Calvin, 69 years old. We went purposely. And the reception we got at Job One, I'm telling you, it was just beyond explanation. I dropped a piece of paper on the floor purposely. The lady took the steps, came outside and said, "Mister, here your paper." But we have been knowing what's been going on with our returning home population this year personally. Now, the NAACP, we do not have a reentry. We have family and friends, members in organizations, union, neighborhood association. They call us and say, "Look, what's going on?" We have been going to Job One since January of this year. The first person was hired was in February. We also had 15 people were hired for the city during the Mardi Gras cleanup at $15 an hour. One trip and you're hired. So I'm here today with all the gloom and doom that folks say that's not going right in the city. The city of New Orleans have hired folks for we call it the Second Chance Initiative. We know them, we have the numbers. I had Mr. Green to speak with one. Young man said, "I come from 40 cents today to $17 an hour." Had one young man went to Job One. He called me down and said, "Mr. Coleman, this got to be a joke. There must be have cameras somewhere. These people treat me like I'm a king." He did 15 years in our institution. And the level of respect from the employees at Job One, and I have to also give it to Goodwill, because one brother went to the wrong spot and he got treatment at Goodwill. I went to see. I went personally to see, so I can sit here to tell you today, the city of New Orleans, Job One, and all of those staff members, even the security guard at the door, they welcome citizens of New Orleans in a professional manner. And you know the number one thing? They're getting the job done. I mean, we have actually people are working and training. And one myth we had, if you had a criminal record, you couldn't get CDLs. We put that to rest. We called the congressman's office. He told us about the TWIC card in Job One. Guess what? They get the TWIC card for you. We have young men that's working, taking care of their family. It's the Second Chance Initiative. And I take my hat off to the city of New Orleans, Job One, to this great council that we have and this great administration. You're doing wonderful things in our community. That is the fact. I would not bring names and people out because I don't believe in exploitation, but any day you would like to talk to some of those brothers that have done more than 15 years in our institution from the 80s, they're coming home. And the city of New Orleans and Job One have opened their arms up and received and trained. And the city of New Orleans are employing them. They're working every day with meaningful jobs, continue their life again. One time, could you imagine one time you've been away from this city 15, 20 years, you go to Job One and make a mistake and go to Goodwill. And you got, I'm serious, that's what happened. All right. You made a mistake and go to Goodwill, and now you're gainfully employed or seeking training to make money to take care of your family.
Mr. Coleman, if I may, tell me about any programs that you have with the current sheriff. So I know that, you know, coming back from prison is one thing, but coming out of OPSB is another. So are there any connections that we can help foster or that are in place where people coming out of jail can get into Job?
Well, I suggest that what you're doing, what Job One is doing right now, it's a perfect fit for us. And one of the things happened, family and friends say, you know, my nephew's coming home. He's been up there 15, 20 years. What can happen? I said, well, we got this. And once again, I'll say it again. One time, I think they're living up to their name, Job One. You mean you tell me?
I got into it's a process. I'm with you. I appreciate it. That's right. Thank you. It's a process.
We're saying from our end, we know guys went one time,
Yes, sir.
got their work done, got a resume done.
That's right.
The driving program, it takes a couple of months because the waiting list. But guess what? We have a lot of young ladies on second careers or in the CDL program, and they're enjoying it. They're looking forward to doing what they need to do to move on.
Do you want to come on up?
So.
I was just gonna, when you asked, first of all, good afternoon, Councilmember Harrison Green, Sinead Lavasso, Director of the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development. So as we were talking about initiatives and programming with the Sheriff's Department, one of the programs we wrote a proposal for was training inmates in the sunset of their term, meaning that they were 12 months to 6 months out from being released. And so I say, it would be great if we could do like green infrastructure training while they're incarcerated. Once they're released, they have the certification. We connect them with an employer partner so that they can start working with TCA, provide them with housing, our partnership with DCFS, where they can have SNAP benefits until they can get on their feet. And we provide them with those wraparound services and those supportive services for at least a year, making sure that they have no reason to turn back to the life that they once lived. So if we could get some assistance with that, I think that would be a game changer. Instead of waiting for them to be released to do all of these things, start providing those services in the sunset of their term. Yes.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know I've talked to the sheriff and some of her staff about people being released and they don't even have shoes. They don't have the necessary things just to function in life. And so getting in and making sure that there's some readiness for when you come out, I think is critical. So just let us
Yes.
know what we can do to
Provide those work readiness services as well. And also, I want to speak to the customer service, the concierge level customer service that's being delivered at Job One. It was very intentional. Mayor Cantrell was a council member for B back in the day, so she heard all of the horrible stories about Job One, Job None, I think that was our name, at one point in time. And so when I was, I had to jump through hoops and interview with like 18 people, and I'm like, this must be a FBI job or something. And so she was laser focused on changing the culture of Job One. And so we started with the physical transformation, and we went through a lot of professional development, which we do today. I think it's once a quarter with Carnegie Hall. It's right, Dale Carnegie. Professional development once a quarter to make sure that everyone understands the why, the purpose as to why we're here. And my job is to make sure that we're supplying them with the resources and tools they need to do the how and the what. So just wanted to say that, my shameless plug. And so for you guys to approve those ARPA funds and we can do even more, especially in the portion of transportation. We want to go back into a partnership with Lyft to make sure, because all of the jobs, the high wage, high demand jobs, especially those advanced manufacturing jobs, they are not on the public service route. So if we go into a partnership with Lyft, we will ensure our participants get to and from work for the first 90 days without having to worry about that impediment. Working with them in financial literacy where they can save $500. And then through our partnership with United Way, through an IDA account, there's a 4-to-1 match. So if they save $500, United Way matches it. So they have a down payment for a used car of at least $2,000, $2,500, which then, you know, we could start serving others in that space. So we have a lot of innovative programming that we would like to do that's outside the box of what Job One traditionally does. So we're just hoping that you guys give us that opportunity to do what we know we can do with these unrestricted funds.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. What, is there an impediment to the sunset? What can we do as a council? Is that something that you're proposing as part of ARPA, or is it something that we need to know now?
So both, actually. We started that conversation with Marlon Gusman, and it kind of tapered off. He was in the throes of running for re-election. But we put together a comprehensive plan for us to really serve, get to the root causes and really serve incarcerated individuals. And then I never had an opportunity to speak to Ms. Susan, but if we could somehow, some way, if you guys could facilitate that conversation or convene that meeting, I would be most appreciative.
We certainly will. That's an important program, and it certainly makes common sense. So we'll see what we can
Yes.
do.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Mr. Coleman, we kind of interrupted you, so.
That's all right. That's more good news and another resource, but this is some of our community people that comes out when we're doing canvassing, passing information on the services at Job One. And if you would like to.
Will you introduce
bit.
yourself and
Yes. Yes, my name is Valerie Jefferson. I am the president of ATU Local 1560 Women Caucus. We are the employees in the operation department of RTA. I am here to support, along with my colleague, the president of the Black Caucus of ATU Local 1560. We are here to support Job One because we too have family and friends that benefit from Job One. Me personally, I have kinfolks, what you call in Mississippi, kinfolks, that went to Job One and they got trained from Job One. And I too went to Job One undercover. And when I went,
Y'all started to make you nervous, huh?
Job One opened doors. When you walk through that door, they greet you with a smile and have a gentle voice. They make you feel important. They didn't know who I was. They didn't know my title or anything. And the young lady that laid out the red carpet, you know, and I was, Counselor, I'm gonna tell you, I was feeling kind of low. But when I left out of that office, her spirits connect with me and make me feel empowered, because when you welcome someone in your home, you welcome them with gladness, you welcome them with a smile. And Job One will welcome anybody with a smile, because when I came in, it was someone else came in. And that person wasn't dressed according to our standard. I'm gonna put it that way. But that young lady welcomed that person in just like she welcomed me in. That made my heart feel glad. And for them to treat anyone with compassionate and with understanding and treating you like that you are somebody, that is very important. Because when you come out of prison, or you come out of jail, or you come from the streets, or you just come from home and you do not have the means to take care of yourself. When someone grab you by the hand and train you and make you feel very important And that what I received from Job One. Later on, when she took me to the next person, the career builder director, who I asked for, because I let her know that the Women Caucus and the Black Caucus connected with NAACP. We are advocates of people, a person trying to prove themselves, like that young man. They just need a lending hand. They just need someone to care about them. They just need someone to show them down the straight and narrow path. And matter of fact, we got a meeting with them next month. They're gonna meet with us. They're gonna meet with our members, our co-workers, because I asked for promotion training. I asked for interview training, career building. And that young lady, she informed me about the different program they have, the connection they have. And I really appreciate Job One. Thank you so much.
Say it to the mic. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is a great presentation today. I appreciate that. And thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank
Any
you.
other comments? Councilmember Thomas, just hello.
Thank you. Appreciate it. There you go.
Hello.
That's right.
Good to see you.
Thank you all again.
Good to see everyone.
nice to
Thank
see
you and happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays. God bless it.
Same here.
Everybody, man. Absolutely.
All right.
Coleman, good to see you, Dr.
Glad to see you. Hey, you too as well, Bill.
Ron Coleman, I
Councilman.
appreciate that offer. Did you get my message? I'm gonna be out of town, but we'll talk about it.
All right. Our
Thank
next
you.
presenter is Chantrice Bailey, Director of the Center for Employment Opportunities. And for this item, Chantrice will be presenting on CEO's role in helping the formerly incarcerated re-enter the workforce.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy holidays.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, first, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Chantrice Bailey, and I am the site director for CEO New Orleans. Just to give you a little background, CEO provides work experience with daily pay and job training and placement for individuals returning home from incarceration. And these returning home from incarceration who face the biggest and greatest barriers of re-entering the job force and also facing, return to incarceration. CEO New Orleans opens its doors to New Orleans in 2019. Since then, we have launched a partnership with Code Enforcement that has been able to help us develop and train and work the employees that we do have. I will be in this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I was trying to hold the cough in the entire time.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
It's that type of season.
Yeah, and then I'm stuttering. Okay, so I'm sorry. So in this interview, and what we're going to do is do an overview of what our program model is, so you guys can understand the work that CEO does and what we provide to the community and how we're going to help with the revitalization of this community through our organization. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. I really appreciate that. So who do we serve? CEO exclusively serves individuals returning home from incarceration to our community. This slide demonstrates the demographics of the people that we serve in New Orleans who have limited work. A lot of them have limited work experience and limited educational background. That coupled with prior justice involvement makes it extremely hard for them to re-enter the workforce or to, to stay out of jail and not recidivize. Our participants live throughout the city of New Orleans. About 83% of them live directly in Orleans Parish. Right now, currently, we have served 68 participants from District A, 48 participants from District B, 58 from District C, 88 from District D, 45 from District E, and 61 participants, which is about 17%, are noted as homeless or unhoused. Because they're homeless or unhoused, some of them are actually inside the city. Some of them may be outside the city, but we have no way of verifying where they live. We can go on to the next slide. Each phase of our program model has a dedicated staff person leading that phase. Our program is based on evidence. We are one of the only and very few reentry service providers to undergo rigorous evaluations to prove that effectiveness of our model in violence prevention and intervention and increasing employment opportunities. Our outline of our model is what you can see. We have paid work readiness training, where we provide daily pay for employees who are returning home from incarceration. So as soon as they enter our program and the day they start working is the day they start getting paid. We have immediate transitional employment. Of course, I said with daily pay. We do individual job coaching. In the individual job coaching, we provide digital skills. We provide them with interview skills. We provide them with I-9 documents, making sure that we support them and getting the I-9 documents they need to get long-term employment. We help them with interview clothing, whether it's bringing them to get clothing or whether we can provide clothing for them for the resources that we do have. We teach them how to build resumes and how to form their resumes. Again, some of them have never had jobs, but they do have skills that can go on a resume. So we show them about those skills, teach them, and we show them how to formulate that on a resume. We help them set goals. What are the goals that you have in place? Where do you want to be and what jobs do you want? So we help them set their goals and we seek out their job interests. We give them financial literacy, teaching them how to budget and manage their money. Because remember, working with us, you're getting daily pay. And through the transition, we're going to get you long-term employment. So we're going to teach them how to budget and manage their money. And we also talk about different barriers that may come in place. So whether it's childcare, housing, transportation, family issues, or other barriers, we try to give them supportive services and connect them with those resources that they need to make sure they overcome and address those barriers. We also do advanced training and leadership development, which I'll talk about more on the next slide. Another thing we do is once they go through their individual job coaching, we do a job development and placement. And once they get to what our job development and placement coach, with her, they're completing job applications. They're actually doing mock interviews. They are completing interview preparation. So if they have an interview coming up, she's prepping them for that interview. She's making sure they have the right attire. She's telling them to come to the office in your interview clothes. She's sitting with them, going through like interview scenarios with them so they can like kind of ease off that nervousness and also be ready to face that employment, that potential employer. They talk through the resume highlights and the things that should be addressed when they meet the potential employer. She's also taking them to different job fairs throughout the city. So we go online almost every week, every day, looking for different job fairs. If we see one, we actually load our participants up in a van, make sure they're ready, and we take them with us, and she accompanies them to the job fairs. And just recently, we've had our first job fair at CEO at our office, where we had 9 different employers to come in and interview on the spot. We also invite employers to come into the office to interview potential participants for jobs, and also invite them out to job sites so they can see the type of work that our participants can do. Once participants are placed, they get with a job retention specialist. That job retention specialist stays with them for a year. So that's to provide extra supportive services for them. So if this job, if some of the barriers are still there, we can still assist them to make sure they're getting to and from work on time, we can do that. So whether it's transportation costs, whether it's providing bus passes, whether it's calling lifts to get them to and from work, whether there's still some more things that they need, whether they decide they want additional training, or if they feel like this job isn't the one for me, then they can always come back to CEO and we can get them restarted and trying to, reset and find their goals. So we track them from a year through our retention, just to make sure that they're in the right placement, that they're being successful, that barriers are not going to hinder them from keeping that job for long-term employment, and provide any supportive services that we can. So I want to talk about some of the advanced training pathways that we talked about earlier that I said I wanted to get back to. So this is something that we do, right? So we want to make sure that we have and we build out an economic mobility profile with our participants. Well, one of the main goals being that each participant has a job that allows them to be social and have social and economic mobility to align with the career goals and their aspirations. There are 3 ways we do this framework. We are building a career pathways in a specific industries where individuals with criminal records can earn higher wages. These sectors include IT, construction, transportation. And IT has been like really big and focused for some of our participants recently. Our team is creating pathways to ensure that this training and credentialing happens through our program and within the sectors of the city to navigate and be successful. Currently, our CEO office offers forklift certification, CDLs, in-house advanced HR and nonprofit training. And we also have something called our Emerging Leaders Program, which helps some of our participants who are interested in going into leadership roles or into management so that so we'll train them for that through our program. It's an 8 to 12 week online program that we do in office. We also focus on continue building relationships outside of CEO with potential partners to do our inclusive hiring that works on a national scale. Our job develop, our BAM actually goes out weekly to connect with different employers in the city to make sure that, are you guys hiring or do you do second chance hiring? We have some people that are interested in these types of jobs. Would you be interested in hiring them? Would you be interested in coming to our office and seeing them? Because we want to build these strong relationships to let them know that we are intentional about making sure that we build positive, impactful people that are going to re-enter society and that they're ready to be placed in these jobs. So we work on a local level to build these relationships. We also have a national organization who supports us in building these relationships locally. Finally, we have intentional leadership and skill training, the individual type training for advanced opportunities at CEO. This includes our crew coach positions, which allows participants to complete our site supervisor training to support our sites in more heightened roles. So as jobs become available within the city, say like we get jobs with code enforcement and we have more crews, or we have crew coaches that we can train that are working through those crews that we can hire to lead those crews out so that we can get more work done within the city to actually help us employ more people. This is a map generally of some of the areas that we've touched throughout the city. You can see that there's different areas. We do a lot of abatement in the lower ninth ward, where we've been doing a lot of lot abatement, a lot of the right of ways, but we also we are spread out throughout the city. So it is from the West Bank of New Orleans all the way to the ninth ward, to the east. We have touched many parts of the city. And this is our work in the ninth ward in the specific areas that we work from Claiborne to Jordan, Claiborne to Jordan, which is a huge area. I'm trying to name all the streets in between, but it's huge. We have done all the right of ways there. We have started maintaining those areas in January of this year.
Claiborne and Jordan. I mean, Claiborne, it intersects Jordan behind.
Okay, so it's
Florida.
Claiborne, Jordan.
Right.
Dubaril.
Dubaril, the last street.
You can tell the West Bank is coming out.
I'm from the lower ninth ward.
What?
But sorry. But we have done and maintained that area since January of 2022, maintaining the right of ways, clearing it out so that people can have sidewalks to walk down, because it was all overgrown. Some of the grass was higher than us. It is now low. We have been there every week, every day since then, working and maintaining that area to make it a safer environment and a safer place. And some of the great things about it is when we started going out there, which was a much needed area of reinforcement, neighbors were actually coming out thanking us for the work that we were doing out there. Excited the fact that children can actually walk down sidewalks, ride bikes in the neighborhoods again. You can get to the corner and actually see cars coming back and forth because the grass was not so overgrown and high. This again just talks about our partnership that we have with a lot of partners and the journey that it's taken for us to get to where we are. One of the questions is why is CEO necessary? Why is CEO necessary? Why is the services that we provide so important to this community? As I mentioned earlier, individuals who walk through our doors are incredibly motivated to work. But they face some of the biggest barriers in finding and maintaining employment. We know that employers have needs that are right now, but some of our individuals need specific skills and training to get them there. And CEO is a place where they can get those skills and training to get them there throughout the entire program. We meet individuals where they are in terms of their skill development, and we help them work through their challenges and barriers so that ultimately they can be successful in their career aspirations. This is one of our success stories who is a current CEO site supervisor. Joel, you can kind of scan his link to get his full story, but I'll give you a little background. Joel at 32 had been in and out of incarceration his entire life and had never had a job at all. And when he did get out of jail after serving 10 years, he said he had been out for about 2 weeks and could not find anything and almost had given up. He had remembered meeting our outreach specialist at a job fair before, but thought like, hey, what is this? I really don't want to do this. But felt like it was the last resort, so he gave her a call. He gave her a call. Within a day, she had him in orientation. Within 2 days, he was working and getting paid because again, we do daily pay. Joel talks to us about how important that daily pay is. He said, because when you first come off from incarceration, of course, your family and friends are excited to see you and they're always like giving you something, right? About a week or two, people are like, look, get up, get a job, do something. He said, so having that daily pay to be able to feed himself, to be able to put clothes on his back, to be able to provide, shelter for himself really helped him get on his feet, in addition to getting those trainings and getting those skills. He worked so well through our program that he decided he wanted to be a part of CEO. So he applied to be a site supervisor. And because of his miraculous work and all of his skill growth, he actually became a site supervisor. That was back in 2019 when we opened. As of today, Joel is still one of our site supervisors. So again, I talked about the importance of like why CEO is here, who we are, and why we want to stay in the city and work the way that we work. Our work across New Orleans spans multiple parts of the city and has included projects such as litter abatement, landscaping, accessibility projects, and other beautification services to clean up the city and the Ninth Ward. Our participants have stated that being a part of this revitalization projects during their crew has not only provided them with training, but gave them a sense of empowerment for helping the city that they love and they live in. Excuse me. And also allows them to feel like they are also giving back to the community within a sense of work and an impact in completing their work. We would love to continue to work and be a part of New Orleans, work and being a part of the program. At the end, I've also provided some slides of some of the work we've done in some of the different districts with some of before and after pictures for you guys to peruse through so you can see kind of what lots look like when we get there, the work that we put into it, and what it looks like when we're done.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Council members, do you have questions? Councilmember Green.
I have a couple of statements, but then I appreciate the fact that you've met with us and we've had an opportunity, or at least my staff has had an opportunity to meet with folks from CEO. So some of some of the concerns that I have are fundamental, but it has nothing so much to do with CEO as it does with my general philosophy.
Okay.
The funds that were asked for CEO from the Wisner Fund monies I consider to be, because you're not guaranteed a renewal, one-time funds. I mean, it could be renewed, but something else could come up. The mayor could put something else before us. The problem that I kind of have is a philosophical concern, is that I would like to see more people employed full-time so that they can get employment benefits that include health and also retirement benefits. And I appreciate the fact that you all have cut a significant number of lots. That's a very important program. So I want to start off on the favorable to say that I see the change. I see the change along Johnny Jackson. I've asked, and a couple of people have come through with the cutting of lots in the Ninth Ward, making the people feel much better than they do if those lots are overgrown. So please continue that program, and I want to help as much as I can. Against that backdrop, I'll continue to have conversations with you. My general comment is that I'd like to see many more programs work to get people employed full-time with the city so that they can send them to job one after they do this kind of work so that they can get into that long-term program. And I also have just a general concern that if this is a good program, which it is, I'm gonna just tell you, then as far as I'm concerned, it should be asked for to be a permanent part of the city, because there are benefits to those who participate in it. Because I could ask you a fundamental question, but not to put you on the spot, but you all don't really employ these folks full time unless you're guaranteed this money is coming in, right?
We are a transitional program to help them get long-term employment.
Right.
So far, we have served since being here, 350 plus participants have come through, and we have gotten over 200, almost 200 people employed and connected with long-term employment through our program. So we provide transitional services, right? So we get them prepared for long-term employment through the city, working with our city to make sure they get jobs long-term with different agencies we're hiring throughout the city.
For example, give me some examples of agencies. The city, I know that you all have worked with. I also happen to speak today to Chuck Morse. You all refer people to Chuck Morse's program? Thrive.
Yes,
Okay,
we have.
sorry, yeah.
People have, right? So like,
And it's Reverend Chuck Morse. I got to
Yes.
give him that.
so like, yes, people have went through Drive and for example, we had a job fair recently, like I said, our first job fair within the office. And one of our participants actually got their forklift certification through Thrive, who's now getting interviews to work with Blaine Cohen to because they need forklift certification, forklift certified individuals. So they came to the job fair and actually took him in, and they're thinking about hiring him. We have people long-term with Sewage and Water Board. We have people long-term with Parks and Parkways. Sewage and Water Board is one of the people in Parks and Parkways are actually two people that my job coach can actually call on the spot and say, hey, we have people ready to get hired. They're interested in this type of job. They get interviews, and they are like really hiring the people that's coming through CEO because we've built that relationship with them. I actually had two people who wanted to come in today, one from Parks and Parkways and one from Sewage and Water Board, but the timing was just off, but they did call and said that they wanted to come.
When you're cutting lots, are you employing people directly, or how are they getting paid? For example, how much do they get paid for the work that was done on Johnny Jackson?
All of our participants are paid $11.19 an hour.
You probably know my next question is because when you do business with the city and you get a grant from the city, just like you get a contract from the city, unless I'm missing it, I'm going to tell you that I need to find out. I thought that everybody was supposed to be getting paid $15 an hour. And that is something that the city tried to do. Tell me if I'm wrong. Wait, can you come, Ms. Gilavaso?
Actually, living wages under OWD's portfolio, and any 100% funded city contract, they have to pay at least $15 an hour. So whatever contract or negotiations with CEO going forward, they're going to have to pay those participants at least $15 an hour.
Okay. it's important to say that. So, I mean, I'm not trying to expose publicly, but I mean, you brought up the number of 1119. And I always tell people that when you join the city or you do business with somebody who's a contractor with the city, you can count on $15 an hour. But especially if the job is just $11 an hour and that doesn't guarantee them benefits, you know, the employment and retirement benefits. So they should be paid $15 even if the other folks aren't paid $15 an hour. But Ms. Villavasso has explained that in the next iteration of whatever the contract would be, there'll be a requirement that everybody who's put to work is put to work at $15 an hour.
Okay, yeah, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and I guess I want to be clear in saying that CEO is not an employment agency, so we don't actually employ. What we do is actually train them for long-term employment. So our transitional program is a training program, and we train them, we mentor them the entire time. We are paying them, it's a paid training program and transition programs to get them and focus them into long-term employment.
Well, that brings up an issue because you brought it up. I understand that you're a training program, but for example, in the last request, which hasn't been acted on for a variety of reasons, the 500,000 that's been spent so far this year, if you're not employing people, what is being done with the 500,000? The public would probably want to know.
Yeah, so right now we've gotten those money, 281 of those thousands of dollars have went directly into the pockets of the people that we've served inside through our training program.
So you do pay them directly.
Yes, we do pay them for the transitional services that we provide them.
So what
Ready for job.
So what did you say that you don't do? Because I thought you just said that you don't pay them directly.
No, I never said I did not pay them directly. I was just saying that we are a transitional program that helps them get into long-term employment.
Okay, right. But I mean, so you
Transitional and training program, yeah.
so you do pay them $11 an hour when they're doing certain work.
Yeah, they're doing certain work and getting trained in the same time, yeah.
But under the new contract, if there were one, it would be $15 an hour.
Okay.
Okay. Did you want to add?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, council. My name is Shay
That's okay.
Zeller. I'm a.
Thank you. Let me take back the reins here a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you say who you are, where you're from, and are you part of CEO Works?
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. My name is Shay Zeller. I'm a policy advisor in the Department of Code Enforcement,
Okay.
Office of Business and External Service.
All right. Sorry, I've never met you. And I'm
That's
sorry
okay.
to
It's
call
very
you-
nice to meet you.
Yeah, great.
I wanted to clarify one point to address your question that in the contract, in the 2022 contract using Wisner funds, on the first page in the recitals, both the city and CEO acknowledge that the work under that contract would fall under the exception to the livable wage ordinance. And so I just wanted to clarify that, yes, they were paying 11 and change an hour. That was negotiated and acknowledged in the contract.
Is that all you have to add?
That is all I wanted to add
All
for
right.
that. Yes.
Councilmember Green.
Well, you kind of probably know that opens up a question. Why? Why is there an exception to the livable wage ordinance for people who are coming back to our community, who are returning home? Maybe you could answer that question. Why was that exception in the contract?
I'm not able to answer that question at this moment. I'm sorry.
I am going to.
And going forward, that is certainly something that will be taken into consideration. And as Ms. Villavasso said, we would pay
But you understand my concern as to
Sure.
why someone who is returning home after incarceration would have been treated differently from someone who is working for the city and also has benefits and including retirement and.
Yes, sir. I think
Okay.
I will let CEO speak to it, but I assume it's the nature of it being transitional employment and a workforce training program.
Okay, I'd like to have additional conversation as we go down the line. I've certainly expressed my concern, but I want to see more people join the city of New Orleans on a full-time basis so that they can get employment and retirement. They can work with us for 25 to 30 years and then one day have a full-time guaranteed salary that they can
I agree.
pass on in the form of a pension. And to whatever extent that I can work, and I know that I've been able to help some people, and I appreciate the fact that Job One was here and they were placing people in those kind of jobs that I want to see filled. And I know that my council members they agree with me. They've heard it said enough. We need to fill all these jobs at the
Mhm.
city. To whatever extent that I can help working with CEO, filling those jobs and providing benefits, making sure everybody gets paid $15 an hour, and that they have long-term connectivity to the jobs that they're doing. I'd appreciate you letting me know.
Okay, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Councilmember Thomas.
Well, Councilmember Green, everybody knows you're like resources. The city council, and thank you for those efforts. Of course, you know, my experience with this group is I think the best times I had being out in the district and on site was talking to the Mr. Miller and a group of young men who were working there. And one of the things that I got from talking with this group was that many would have looked at it as being mini labor, cutting lots, doing the kind of work, but they took a pride in it that I had not seen to be real from many city workers who do that work. You know, I wish the city agencies who cut the grass around the canals would cut the grass as good as they cut the grass and take the pride in it. And as ex-offender, to see ex-offenders out there who had that level of pride, man, they were not bashful about what they do, the councilman. They were actually, the gratitude that those men and women and the group out there felt was something that made me feel proud, especially seeing them do the work in the neighborhood that I grew up in. So yeah, then we need to pay them more. We need to make sure. But I know there are a lot of existing contracts that operate under old rules. And as we begin to amend these contracts and bring new contracts on, you know, as elected leaders, we can't talk about living wage and benefits and give money to contractors and have people work who are not providing living wage or benefits, or at least the opportunity to make more than they're getting out there in the open market. So please get together with our head of labor and human resources and workforce. And maybe you need to set up an opportunity where he can go out and talk and meet with the folk who are on those.
I would love
schools,
that.
like I did, because some of them I knew from our neighborhood. And many of them I knew in terms of how they changed their lives, but they were out there with pride. So thank you for what you guys are doing there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me just add this to the commentary. I think it's an and, right? I think it's Job One doing the great work that they are doing, CEO Works doing what you're doing, which is prepping people to really get into Job One, right? So I think there's a pathway that I'm seeing just from the testimony here today. The one thing I will add is that there are a lot of overgrown lots in District B, and I don't see a lot of scattered dots in District B. So if y'all could get with Reverend Morse, he lives in Hoffman Triangle, I'm sure.
Yes.
He and Matt, who is my overgrown lot person, we've toured many, many, many of them. If y'all could get together and we can identify some lots in District B, because we need that work too. But I do think it's an and, not an or. And as Councilmember Thomas said, we don't know when that contract was negotiated and entered into vis-a-vis the living wage ordinance that happened in the past council. So I think what we're hearing is from the council members that that contract needs to be updated so that the folks who are coming out are paid within the city standard of the living wage. But I want to thank you. I want to thank Ms. Filavasto. Mr. Coleman's not here anymore. Are there any public comments or any more comments from the council members?
No, but I do want to close with this comment. I want to make it clear that I have met some of the people who are working on jobs, for example, and I've gone up and talked to them. And look, I know what's going on, and I appreciate their work and I appreciate their enthusiasm and all. And that's why I'm not in certainly a aggressive mode relative to this. I just want to see everybody get the benefits that I think you get when you work for the city of New Orleans, a variety of things, vacation pay, things like that, you know. So whatever extent that we can work on it. But look, I have gone throughout the Ninth Ward, the Zion, Florida area. And just this morning, I was talking to Reverend Morris, and it was also us talking about his appreciation for the fact that the lots across the street from New Birth that had grown into the street that were terrible, that were filled with debris, were cut. And that's an important part of what you do. And I do want to make it clear that I appreciate that. I appreciate the 100 lots that have been cut within District D. I had a chance to go with representatives of code enforcement who said that they were going to be working with you. I identified lots in Pontchartrain Park, Gentilly Woods are very happy. So your work is appreciated. let's work together so that we can address the issues that I brought up. But it is making a difference in our city. We're going to be dedicating a multi-purpose center at the corner of Florida Avenue and Johnny Jackson in the very near future. And even though I can't get the street done for a variety of reasons, it's taking a little while, people who are going there will be able to drive past lots that have been cut that previously were going into the street, covering the sidewalk. People didn't even know that there was a sidewalk. So there is a good side to what I'm saying in terms of that I want to work with you more, and I appreciate the work. I would so much appreciate it to see some of those guys incorporated into our system. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you for your work.
No, thank you.
And with that, on Councilmember Eugene FTE's words, we are adjourned. Can I get a motion? Move.
So-
Oh, we're not in committee. All right. Well, we don't have to do all that. Thank
right.
you. Thank you all. Merry Christmas.